Alright, you rockers, joining me right now here inside the asylum. I am very honored to have the lead singer of one of the band that many people consider one of the founding fathers of the thrash metal scene. He is the frontman of Exodus, the one and only Steve Zetro Souza. How are you, dude?
Turbo, what's going on, brother? Good to be here with you.
Same here, man. Same here. I'm very honored to speak with you because, as I say, Exodus is considered one of the founding members of thrash, and you guys, Exodus, are getting ready, really, or are celebrating 30 years since the release of the first album. Have you ever had a chance to really sit down and take that in yet?
You know, we do, and it's funny that you say that, Turbo, because Tom Hunting, our drummer, and I, we talked about that right before Blood In, Blood Out came out. We said, you know, we're really fortunate to be able to put out our 10th album and still be relevant. Our fans still want to come listen to us and buy our records. And after 30 years, I mean, Bonded by Blood was released in 1985. It seemed like such a long time ago. We were just kids, but I think that has to do with all of us, especially the original thrash metal bands. You know, Anthrax, Testament, Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer, Death Angel, Overkill, Creator. I think all those bands are really still putting out good music. So, you know, I know there's other genres of music where, you know, maybe they were hot at one time and they still continue to put out records, but nothing as solid as they did from their first stuff or the first initial stuff. And I don't think that's the case with Exodus or maybe even those other bands. I think Blood In, Blood Out is, if not the strongest record, just as strong as Bonded by Blood and Fabulous Disaster and Tempo of the Damned.
Oh, absolutely, man. I mean, I've been listening to Blood In, Blood Out since it came out, and you know, you bring up a great point. And so many of the bands from the original day sound just as good now as they did back when you guys first started. And yeah, you gotta wonder, is it just that you guys found something so unique and so, you know, easy to enjoy playing and performing so early on that you didn't have to worry about changing over the years or technology getting in the way? Was it, you know, you think that has something to do with the fact that there's so much consistency in the music you guys are doing?
In my eyes, I think that we're all really, really still big fans of our genre, let alone metal, period. It's like we just came back from Australia where we did Soundwave Festival, and our slot was right before Judas Priest. I think Exodus watched Judas Priest every single night because we're all such big fans. And when I see the guys from the other bands, you know, when I see the guys from Anthrax, when I see the guys from Slayer, I think everybody's still, you know, excited for each other to continue, and that they're still doing really well, and everybody's pulling for each other. And I think it's a really kind of a cool little fraternity that's got together. So in my eyes, I feel we're still big fans of the business. I love thrash metal, and I love heavy metal in general. So I've never lost sight of that. So when I'm listening to my songs or I'm writing my own material, I'm writing it as a fan would like to hear it, kind of. But it goes hand in hand. I am the singer, but still a big fan. I'm sure there's a lot of musicians that just kind of do this because they get paid to do it and go through the motions. But I believe in our type of music, especially heavy metal alone. You know, all of our fans are exclusive. They love metal because they love metal. Nobody's going to tell you, Turbo, that, hey, dude, you got to start listening to this. You're a metalhead. You love metal. This is what you are. It's not going to change. And for the kids coming up, it's the same way. And for the old school, it's the same way. And I think that's what keeps us all very much excited and very much into what we're still doing. There's still a market for it. The fans still come to the gig in droves, and they're still in the pit, you know, killing each other. So as long as they're still doing that, we'll keep doing it.
Yeah, and the other thing, too, when you think about it, is because there's been consistency in your sound and in your love for what you do, it makes it easier for the next generation who maybe are picking up Blood In, Blood Out as their first introduction to Exodus and to thrash metal, and it's not awkward or hard for them to go back and listen to the early stuff with like other genres where you may get the latest album from an artist and their first album and it's like day and night.
Right, right, and I think that that's what we've all done. Well, I mean, the Megadeth or Overkill put a record out last year was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the last Megadeth was great. I thought Worship Music by Anthrax is amazing. Slayer's done with their new record. I'm sure that's going to be totally awesome. You know, and I mean, I just think everybody's bringing it. The last two Testament records have been completely awesome. So I don't think anybody, Creator, Sodom, Destruction, go down the list. Nobody's giving you any crappy, you know, records are going, wow, these guys are sure not what they used to be. I think everybody's still delivering. And I'll be 51 this year, Turbo. So it's still one of those things where, you know, as we get older, I'm still getting heavier, man.
Wow, man, 51. I tell you, you know, it's one of those things I've said to many, many people over the years with metal is, and even with rock, you know, rock and metal, it keeps you young. There's just something about it that manages to keep you young.
Yeah, I don't know. I stay young. I'm very focused on what things are going on. I actually have another thrash band called Patriot with both of my sons. My 25-year-old is my bass player. My 21-year-old is my drummer. And it doesn't seem like there's any age gap there, you know, like there was with me and my parents, or probably you and your parents, you know. There wasn't really a lot of age gap there. So I feel that, you know, I listen to the same music my kids did, but I did not listen to the same music my parents did. It was different. So I think that identifying, we're all staying very much young through this whole heavy metal thing, and I think that it keeps me young. And I'll take this squirt of Fountain of Youth. If metal is my fountain of youth, I'll take it.
Definitely, man. I can definitely agree with that one. I'm lucky enough. My father and I didn't really bond over music, but my mother and I did. Mom brought me up on the Beatles and the Rolling Stones and Led Zeppelin, so that over time turned into the bands of the 80s. And, you know, once I started discovering bands of my own, you know, and it's funny nowadays, Mom is the one going to the shows with me, and I'm turning Mom on to bands, you know, which is really
awesome.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Mom keeps telling me, when is Motorhead touring? I want to see Lemmy live. And I just sit there and look at her and go, okay, wait a minute, what? You know, it's like it's a reverse.
That's the greatest thing in the world, though. Mom wants to go see Lem. It doesn't get any better than that.
Not at all, man. You can't go wrong with that one, man. So, to get back around to Exodus, Blood In, Blood Out is the first album with you returning to the lineup.
Correct.
What was it like for you when you got that phone call to say, listen, man, we've got new material, we would like you to come back and work with us?
Basically, the call was, we got new material, we want you to come down and audition to see if you still got it.
Really?
So I basically had to go in. Yeah, I had to audition 2 songs first. And then they had listened to them first before they said anything. And then and they didn't tell me what they wanted. They just said, we want you to come in and sing 2 songs. I'm like, okay, what are you looking at? And they're like, well, we can't really tell you. So, you know, human speculation is, well, they either want me to do a tour, they want me to do it, sing on the record, or they want me to rejoin the band. And so after I had spoke to them, and they had heard what I auditioned, and I auditioned with Black 13 and BTK, they were like, wow, you know, you're still bringing it. So we figured you can do this again, and it went from there to definitely in 3 days' time. After it had been announced, June 6th, that I was returning, June 9th, I had to start recording Blood In, Blood Out. So I didn't really have much time to think about it, but I've been so in tune lately. Again, I do a side project with my sons called Patriot. I've done Dublin Death Patrol with Chuck Billy. I did Tenet with Jed Simon. I've written music on the last 3 Testament records. So I keep myself in tone vocally. and musically. So it was a no-brainer to come in and do it.
So I've listened, like I said, to Blood In, Blood Out since it's come out, over and over again. It just finds its way back into my personal rotation, and every now and again I did something off of it to throw onto the Asylum that maybe the listeners haven't heard yet. And I sit there and I listen to it, and I wonder, is there anything you're doing differently now to prepare yourself to do these vocals that maybe you weren't doing back when you guys were first getting going, or is it still kind of the same routine for you? If it ain't broke, don't fix it?
I never warm up, and I never have, but I think that when I was singing in the first couple of records, I was, honestly, even to the fourth record, I was still finding my voice and finding what I can do. I think 30 years later, now, I'm confident. I know exactly what this can do. I know exactly what people are expecting from me. And honestly, I'm singing better than I ever have, honestly, ever. And live, it's great. There's no other substance abuse anymore, and that was a big deal back in the day. Everybody's completely clean. So I think that with all of that and being stellar performers over the years, I think the lineup is really good, and everybody's on top of their game. And I don't really need to prepare myself any different because I'm a lot more together mentally than, some of those days back in the days were hazy. You remember the decadent 80s, and we lived those through and through. And now it's not like that. We're older guys. We're very much concerned with our craft. We're very much concerned with playing great live. So I think now is the best time. You go see Exodus now, it's the best time ever because everybody's on top of their game, definitely.
It's funny because everyone brings up those decadent days of the 80s and early 90s, and you can't help but wonder, do you think that part of the reason why so many of the great bands of that era that were known notoriously for the, shall we say, extracurricular activities that would quite often happen?
Good term, that's a good term, Turbo. Extracurricular activity.
It's the best way to say it without getting into details, is it the fact that you guys kind of learned and saw that continuing it was just going to make a downward spiral for you guys, for your lives, and when you guys started to really say, oh, you know what, enough is enough, let's cut back on things, other things in moderation, do you think that maybe takes a little part in why maybe so many of the bands like Exodus are putting out material now that's just as good as day one?
I think that, again, that definitely has an element to do with it, because I know so many of us that are still in the game are all clean, very much so. I was very fortunate enough to play right a day before the NAMM show started in L.A., and then did Metal Allegiance, where it's an all-star kind of metal concert, and we all play all covers and stuff, and it was, all the guys from Anthrax and Chris Broderick and Mark Portnoy and Gary Holt and Chuck Billy and Andres and all these guys, and you know what? Nobody's backstage partying. Everybody's drinking water. There's no... 30 years ago, that would have been a completely different scene. So I think everybody learned, and we've also buried so many of our friends, people that we've been in the band with. It seems like everybody in our, has had a death in a band in one way or another. Paul Bailoff died from Exodus.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's had a death. Jeff Hanneman died, Cliff Burton died. Everybody's had people in their bands that have died, and I think that makes us makes us very much stronger as units and as bands, because we're not done yet. We still got a lot to play. We still got a lot of headbanging to do. We still got a lot of more pits to create, and I think that carries, and I think that the younger crowd is picking up that on as well. When we were in South America in October, it was 25 to 30 at the most. I'd say, hey, where are the old schoolers tonight? They'd be, they're out there, but not like it was with the younger crowd. So I feel that the next generation is really starting to feel our music as well. And if they're starting to feel it now, what better than a time to put out great stuff? And that's what I think all of us are doing. I'm very proud of the Exodus record, and I'm very proud of the two Hatria records that I've done in the past couple of years. It's all good, solid material. Good, very good heavy metal.
Oh, yeah, no argument there at all, man. I mean, the Exodus album, I mean, for you guys, I mean, it really entered the charts, damn near the top in many occasions, if not, like, right there near it. And, it speaks volumes, really, to where we are in the world of rock and metal. I mean, you think back, 4 or 5 years ago, and, you Exodus releasing a new album might have just been one of those things that the metal scene knew about. You sold 20, 30,000 in the first week, and you would have been lucky to do shows, at small venues. But here we are 5 years later, and it seems to be there's that rebirth, and almost of a rediscovery going on for everyone of various ages, whether it's the younger generation finding you guys for the first time, or the older generation going, wow, everyone's still going.
Yes, and I agree. On this last tour, Turbo, we did a meet and greet, and it was like every other night I was getting a father and son team that were like, a father came to the meet and greet, like, I've been an Exodus fan since I was a kid. This is my son. He's coming. He loves you too. And in one instance, we had a grandfather, father-son team come to our meet and greet. That was amazing. It's like, here's the third generation of Exodus fans listening to it. So you can't ask for anything better than that. To us, we were all giddy that night. Did you see the grandfather out there? He's an Exodus fan. Then he had his son and his grandson. How amazing is that? How many genres of music can you say that's relevant in? Not too many.
No, you really can't even say that at all. I mean, I remember a few years back, I went to see Iron Maiden for, I think it was somewhere back in Time tour, and it was at the Garden, and I remember going with friends of mine, and we would get floor seats, so we were able to kind of turn around and get a look at the crowd at the Garden. I remember one of my friends elbowing me and going, dude, look, and I'm looking, and there were these two people who appeared to be, if we had to guess, were in their 60s, right there in the middle of the pit for Iron Maiden, right next to everyone else, and you just sit there and go, if that doesn't say that there is no generation gap, no society gap in metal, I don't know what else you need to prove it.
Yeah, I don't think there's ever been that way. I think that's what's so special about heavy metal itself, is because our fans love it, like I said earlier. Nobody's going to tell them any different. If you love metal, you love metal. When have you ever heard a person say, yeah, I listened to Slayer last summer. It doesn't work like that. You know what I mean? You either are or you aren't. And I think that speaks volume for our fans and our scene as well, because, we don't get a lot of exposure, and they only have one television show dedicated to hard rock and heavy metal, And I love Eddie Trunk and Jim Florentine and Don Jameson for that show. Actually, Gary's going to be on that show here in a couple of weeks, on that metal show. They don't play our award on the Grammys. It's done in the day when they don't do the telecast. Nobody gives metal any respect. When you go into a restaurant, what are they playing? Hip-hop or soft rock. They never play in metal, or ever. It's just not looked at that way. But our fans don't care. They'll always be there, And if bands like us and Slayer can still go to House of Blueses and small theaters and play, we're fine. We'll be fine.
Yeah, man. And plus, sometimes those intimate shows, out like a House of Blues, sometimes those are even the better shows, because it brings you back to those early days of when you were first getting going, and it gives you a different type of energy too.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And I feed off of everybody else. And our fans are still going off. And they're still coming in droves to meet us and see us. And, you know, they're still big, loyal, very, very, very loyal fans to us. So, you know, I would feel if I put out a bad record or a bad show that I was letting them down. So we're very much, it's great that we work for them, they work for us, and we have this, I don't know, it's kind of like an unsigned agreement between each other. We know what to expect from you, and you know what to expect from us. As long as we keep it on the even keel, we'll all be fine.
That's really the best way to go about it, man. Everyone just feeds off of each other, and you have a hell of a show, and it's a night everyone can remember, instead of just some people remembering and others going, hey man, what happened? I was there, but I don't remember what went on. You know.
Right.
So, I mean,
right.
So you guys now are getting ready, Exodus is getting ready to go out and do dates with Testament on the Dark Roots of Thrash tour.
Yeah.
And, I mean, now this is the second round of touring. I know you guys did some dates right after Blood In, Blood Out came out. Are you up to your full tour level now that you've got that first little bit out after returning?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm in full mode now. In fact, I never want to come home. I used to be the guy that was always like, when are we going home? Now I'm the guy who's going, why do we have to go home? So it's kind of night and day for me. I'm bringing it. I'm loving it. I'm loving retouching with all the fans. You know, seeing all the people after the shows and before the shows, and of course during the shows, and all the friends that I had met in the past that are starting to come out of the woodworks to see me. It's great. It's come see the band. It's awesome, and I'm really having a good time with it. So yes, I am definitely in tour mode and ready to go.
That's great to hear, man. What what are the fans? We all know Testament has said they're going to be doing the first two albums in their entireties. What are you guys planning, or have you guys not discussed it yet, regarding what Exodus is bringing out for this tour?
I'm sure you're going to hear probably 4 or 5 songs off the Blood In, Blood Out. You'll hear stuff off of the last 3 records that they've done with Rob Dukes without me, because I'm very much in tune with singing those songs, and I've sung them already and do all the time ever since I rejoined the band. You'll hear stuff off of Fabulous Disaster, Bonded by Blood, of course, Flashes of the Flesh, all the good records. So I would say it would be a good bevy of what Exodus has done over the past year, because I know we have 60 minutes on that tour, so 60 minutes we can bring it.
Oh, for sure. With the energy level that you guys have, there is no doubt you guys should bring a full hard-powered show in just a 60-minute time frame. No argument on that. You bring up something that's interesting and maybe a little touchy, because we all know metal fans, as loyal as we are, often are the most opinionated people in the world. There's always discussions, sometimes it's arguments, but friendly arguments. How has the feedback been for you from the fans regarding the stuff that you're doing live, that maybe that were songs that weren't done by you, that were done by Rob or done by Paul? What's been the feedback on? Has it been, an overall, yeah, let's go, it sounds good, or has there been that 1 or 2 assholes that want to give you shit just because they feel they can?
I haven't had any of that. I haven't had, honestly, the fans are like, isn't that awesome that you sing the Rob Dukes era stuff? There are so many singers that have returned to their bands that will not sing other people's songs that were in there previously. So I think that's homage, and they love it that I do that. And actually, I like the songs. And I never got any bad stuff back in the day for singing the Bonded by Blood stuff. My voice is really close to Paul's, So it was just seemed like, man, I deliver in those songs. And I deliver in the songs that Rob sang. It's not like I just memorize the lyrics and go through the motions. I fully understand what the lyrics are about, and which makes a better performance there. And I feel that everybody really digs the fact, because when I announced that this one's iconoclasm or this one's children of a worthless God, I can see people in the crowd going like, yes, I can't believe this. So I'm very much aware. It's all been positive.
Good, man. That's always good to hear, because, like I said, over the years, there were bands that have had lineup changes, and there's always those fans that want to give somebody, garbage for doing songs that weren't theirs, or, they just want to give them garbage because it's not the lead singer they knew. And, that's why I wanted to ask what kind of feedback you were getting, because, as I said, metal fans, we're loyal. We are loyal to a fault, and that often springs the debate over, who should and shouldn't be singing certain songs.
Turbo, I'm totally aware of that. And as I approached, especially the Rob Dukes era songs, I made sure that they sounded good, and they were going to be good, and they were sung in the way that they should have been sung from me, you know what I mean? And I work on that totally, and I'm actually learning more now. We're going to put methamphetamine in the set. So I'm learning methamphetamine right now. So I'm practicing that at home, actually, is what I do. And then I go to the rehearsal studio, and I'm pretty much ready to go. I'm good at homework. I'm a good homework guy. I do my homework.
That's awesome, man. Exodus getting ready to go out on tour with Testament on the Dark Roots of Thrash tour. Steve, Zetro, Souza. Dude, before I let you go, because I know you got a lot going on with the tour coming up, I want to ask you, what new bands? You've been around for, as we said, 30 years. Exodus has been going. What are some of the newer bands that are catching your attention that you think might be the one to wave the banner for the next generation?
I'd have to say the two top on the list are Havoc and Municipal Waste, for sure. Those bands are really they really got the essence of what we did back in the day, and they're really capturing it right now, and I love that. So, and we're really good friends with both bands, and speaking to both bands, they are totally all in the vein of bringing what the whole mentality was at the beginning and keeping that alive. So we're very excited about that. I mean, Cattle Decapitation was a great band. I love The Faceless, Black Dahlia Murder. All of those bands are bringing it, you know what I mean? And I think, they're not necessarily all thrash bands, but they definitely have an element of thrash in with what they do. And, they're all heavy. They're all heavy bands, and to me, they're all part of the family.
That's it, man. You know what it is? The best part, really, I think right now is to be a rock and metal fan right now, because we've got you guys like Exodus, Anthrax, Overkill, and the greats that have been around for years at the top of their game, and we've got great new bands on their way up. It's kind of like the perfect time to be a fan of rock and metal.
Turbo, I can't agree with you more, bro. I cannot agree. Metal's doing good right now. People ask me all the time, what do you feel of the state of metal? I'm all, metal's rolling right now. Metal's doing great. Our fans will always be our fans. We don't need the press. We don't need the national attention or whatever. We have our loyal fans that will always be there and take care of business, and that's why we'll always be there for them.
Awesome, man. Make sure, everyone, you get out there and you see Testament and Exodus out on tour next couple of months. Don't miss it. Find out when you're coming to a town near you. Zetro, I got Blood In and Blood Out sitting in front of me. What track from it should I pull for my listeners?
We got to hear the heavy one. This is my favorite on the record, and this song's called Numb.
Numb. Any backstory on that one you want to share with everyone?
Yeah, rock them out. We'll see you guys soon. Love all you guys. Thank you, the fans. And Turbo, keep this show going, bro. It's guys like you that keep metal happening, my man.
I will definitely do that, man. Everyone hang tight. More to come inside the asylum. Right now, here's an ass kicker. Numb from Exodus.